This life lesson is communication. I feel it's a lost art. I really do. When I'm someplace where I see adults in a restaurant, I'm kind of blown away that we have this thing called a cell phone now, and people are more engaged down, and it's a form of communication, right? It's a form of communication. If I'm texting someone, it's a form of communication. The hard part is that most of the time in relationships, we communicate with body language and verbally. And so, just as the FYI for you guys, because you were growing up in the cell phone generation, and texting is just part of what we do. But you have to realize that when you are talking, I got those cups again. Yeah, make sure you don't squeeze cups. It's really important that you understand that communication is not just verbally. It can be body language. It can be size. It can be a lot of different things. So I'm going to break you guys up into some groups today. And Jay, maybe one thing we could do is we could just kind of, if you guys would allow Jay to videotape you and like some groups. But I want you to get to know that person inside out, backwards and forwards. You're going to have about 90 seconds each. I'll say 90 seconds go, and you're going to basically get to know everything about that person. Then we'll switch it, okay? And I want you to really be open and relaxed, all right? Because we're looking for body language, we're looking how you pronounce your words, we're looking for a lot of different things. Just real quick before we go there, though, when somebody communicates to me, has anybody ever gotten yelled at? Raise your hand, okay? We've all gotten yelled at. And if you yell at me in the past, I respond like a pit bull. I just don't like getting yelled at. That's why, I don't yell a whole lot. I don't, because I can be intense. I tell my kids, sometimes my kids will say, "Dad, you're yelling." And I say, "No, I'm just intense." Because when I yell, but I don't, so I just want you to know. But it's how you respond to that person that yells at you. Because you could be in a job, you could be a parent, it could be an uncle, it could be an aunt, somebody yell at you. And how do you respond? There's different ways that you can respond, and these are all forms of communication. You can be what I call the withdrawer, that you don't basically say a word, you just withdraw and just basically get quiet. You can yell back. Has anybody ever done that? I have. You can yell back. You can, if Jay is yelling at me, I can walk away. I can just ignore him, walk away, not even, pay attention to him. I can act like I'm not listening. I can be just super frustrated. I can have a frustrated. They are all forms of communication. And obviously I don't have to tell you what the best way to do it is. So it's the next time you get yelled at and you feel like somebody's like yelling at you, respond in a positive way. Figure out why you're getting yelled at, right? Did you do something wrong? Can you make it better? Instead of getting defensive, all right? Those are important things. The second thing I would tell you about is just start to communicate more. And the one thing that I try to do, this has meant a lot. My father passed away in 2008. And what I try to do is I really try to get inside of older people's heads. And that really helps me learn how to communicate. Learn how to get back and forth. Talk to somebody and listen. Just because I say communication doesn't mean that I'm doing this all the time. All right, I'm a big talker. You ask my wife, I can talk with the best of them, right? But as I get older, I'm really trying to listen and listen to what other people are saying. And so if somebody says something to you, you should be able to repeat back what they're saying, right? You should be able to repeat back what they're saying. And if you can't, that means you weren't listening. So don't think that a form of communication is only talking, because it's not. And if I sit there and go like this when you're talking to me, if somebody's talking to me, that's a form of communication, right? If I sit there and go, "Can't wait to tell," that's a form of communication. The way you're all looking at me right now is a form of communication, And so remember that it's not just talking. So we want to become great listeners. We also want to be able to give good feedback. We all want to be able to talk. Where do you guys think that I learned how to communicate? Dylan. On the court. Isn't it amazing? I'm telling you, I learned almost every single life lesson I learned it from the court, and then it grew from there. How do you think I learned it on the court? Nick, doubles, okay? I can tell you that there's two types of partners, and I've had them. There's two types of partners. There's the partner that comes off the court and basically makes me feel that it's my fault that we lost, and he might not even tell me, but he's like, I might go over to Victor and be like, George played so bad today, he just couldn't get a ball in. Right? That's what he say. Or the second person partner comes off and says, gosh, I should have done this, and this, and this to make it work. So one person takes the blame, one person wants to blame. Does that make sense? Which do you think is better? Number two, absolutely. Number two, take the responsibility, right? And learn how to communicate. The biggest thing that I love about doubles is two heads are better than one. Two heads are better than one. Learn how to get together, talk, communicate, figure out a strategy. What do you need to do? But now, I can be up here. Could I have Victor come on up in a second? Victor could be my partner, and I can walk back to say to him and say, hey, Vic, these guys are, this guy's shipping every backhand I need to poach. But the problem is every time you poach, you miss your volley. That's really, it's just not working for us. I told you to poach, right? It's terrible communication, right? Or I could come up to Victor and say, hey, Vic, this guy is floating these returns, and we are leaning back on that poach instead of attack. We need to get on top of it, and we need to attack it. Because you know what? That last time that I poached, I missed that approach, and I need to go after it a little bit more with my feet. You see how I changed that? Completely two different stories. One, I made him feel terrible. I made him feel like he's like not playing that well anyway probably, and he's trying to make the best of it. I just made him feel terrible. The second part, I put we in there. Teamwork. We can do this. And you can do that in everything else in life. Later on, when you guys get into a relationship, trust me, you're going to come back to me and ask me for more advice with that one. All right? Because it's really important to take responsibility. Okay. So I would like you guys to line up really quick along here. Line up in a single file line facing me. Single file. So boom, 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 all the way across. Okay? Quickly. And that's it. Quickly. Single files. Just so it's just facing me all along the. Yep. You don't need your racket. Single file, straight line. Here's what I want you to know. I want you to get to know, obviously, their name, where they're from, what are their likes, what are their dislikes, what are they passionate about, what makes them tick, what makes them excited, why are they here, find out a little bit about them, okay? And then, remember, it's only 90 seconds, so it's not going to be a ton of time, all right? And then I'll say change it, and you do the absolute same thing. It doesn't have to be the same questions, but you just really, that I'm looking for, how are you looking them in the eyes? How are you listening to them? So you should be able to pretty much tell, you won't remember every detail, and I'm not asking you to, but I want you to kind of really focus and understand that you're trying to get to know this person as much as possible. Are you ready? I'm going to start the night. You want to go sit down someplace? I don't care. You want to go get comfortable? Go do it. I'll give you 20 seconds to get comfortable. Great job, guys. And maybe through that last conversation, that's somebody now that you found, I really like this person. I maybe want to get to know him. So instead of tonight, when you're hanging out at the doors, maybe somebody you just want to talk to a little bit more. That's how friendships start. Okay, last thing I want to leave you with is that communication with yourself is vital. All right? It's vital. How do we talk to ourselves on the tennis court? How do we talk to ourselves when we're alone? All right? I need that to be positive language. All right? Just remember that. I'm going to leave you with that. Communication. It's not just when I communicate to Victor, but if I communicate, there's a story running through our heads at all times. You decide whether that story is a positive one or a negative one. We'll talk about later self-image, right? But self-image comes from positive self-talk. So if you're going to run the tape of your voice inside your head, make it a positive one. Let's go out on the court, guys. Great job.